Welcome once again to another edition of Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. Thank you as always for taking the time to view my videos. Hopefully you'll find them informative, and when you go to your local bookstore, you will seek out these books and agree with my choices. As always, I'm presenting two books, two fiction books, two highly recommended books that I hope you'll agree. And the first book is The Crooked Knife by Jan Morrison. This is published by Boulder Press, and it retails for $22.95. This is the debut novel from Jan Morrison, and there's an interesting little note at the back of the book about her. It says, Jan Morrison was raised in the back of an avocado green station wagon. She's an Air Force brat, and her family was being posted across the country or exploring the back roads on summer holidays. It says, when not raiding, Jan is in her garden or rambling the shoreline near her home in Prospect, Nova Scotia, with her fella and dog. Anyways, I'm glad she took the time to write a book because it is very interesting mystery. It is book one of the Nell Monroe series. Nell Monroe is a RCAMP constable in Northwest River in Nova Scotia. She's had an interesting life. She had a rather troubled childhood, and she sees in the community examples of the same sort of problems that she had as a youth. But suddenly, in this calm, quaint little area, there's a murder of a very popular school teacher called Jay Tuck. He is found murdered, stabbed to death, and there is a crooked knife near his body, hence the title, The Crooked Knife. It is an Innu implement that is used, and it's got a crooked blade. So it's very interesting why that particular weapon was chosen. And there is a suspect. He's a student who was a student of Jay Tuck's, and his name is Passion, Pashin. And just before Jay Tuck was murdered, the two were sort of arguing. Passion had written his own version of Hamlet and was supposed to be put on as a school project. Well, it was decided that they would not go with that, and that they would go with Romeo and Juliet instead. And Passion was very upset with the choice. Now, was this enough to make him murder his teacher, his beloved teacher? So Nell Monroe is on the case, and she talks to a lot of people, including the grandmother of Passion and a social worker. And she's getting a lot of flack from her sergeant, Sergeant Renaud, who doesn't like the way she carries out her business and the investigation. So there's a bit of a conflict there. But Nell Monroe is a no-nonsense RCMP officer. And when she gets an idea, she goes with it. So the question is, who has an Innu implement crooked knife? And soon there are other deaths, and she knows she must get to the bottom of the murder very quickly before other people die. So it's a very complex mystery. Like, it's not one of those books that you're going to sit there and say, oh, I got to finish this. Oh boy. It's a very slow and steady pace, which is good for a mystery. It's a police procedural. And those who like police procedurals know that they are very, very slow, methodical. So this is an excellent debut novel from Jan Morrison. And without question, she will be writing a lot more in the Nell Monroe series. And hopefully, if they're as good as this one, you can't go wrong buying them. And the second book of note is Nowhere to Hide by Nell Pattison. This is published by Avon and retails for $17.99. The cover says it all. 7 friends, 1 killer. You can run, but there's nowhere to hide. Based on this, you think, oh, there's a killer and he's going to be picking off the people one by one till there's almost no one left. That's not exactly what happens here, but it does not take away from the excitement and the action and the need to read more of the book. 7 people go to a nature reserve. It's Boxing Day, and it's in England, of course, because there's no Boxing Day celebrated in the US. So it's in England. And these 7 friends who know one another, and the people are Emily, who has a cochlear implant. She's part deaf, and the cochlear implant helps her hear, but in the woods they're not working. So she is pretty well, hearing nothing. She's with her sister Lauren, who the two really aren't the closest sisters. Lauren is the dominant one, and others are Morna, Ben, Dan, Kai, and Alec. And Ben has a fixation on Emily. He really likes her. So the people are going to see what is called a murmuration of starlings. Those are a gathering of thousands of starlings. They seem to gather that time of year in the winter around Boxing Day. So they've gone to the woods, a very innocent thing. And then the snow starts coming. So you know it's going to be a snowy, blowy type of deal. Then suddenly a gunshot rings out, and one of them, Dan, is dead. So they find Ben standing not too far there. He's bloodied. He's been hit on the head. So the question is, they immediately think that Ben pulled the trigger, but where's the gun? Dan was shot at very, very close range. So the question is, why would someone kill Dan when these 7 people seem to be friends? They seem to like one another. So pretty soon you start thinking, okay, who could the killer be? And Emily starts to fear that it's Ben. And then Dan tries to get close to her, and she's not too sure, because she can't hear, so she really doesn't understand what's going on. She doesn't know who might be stalking her. Her sister Lauren is not much help. So it's the 6 people who are left are sort of a strange bunch, because they're all paranoid of each other, and the snow's coming down more heavily. But as we find out, and I'm not going to say who the person is, one of the people in the group, of course, is the killer. It wasn't Casper the Friendly Ghost that did it. There's one of the 7, or one of the 7, because there's only 6 left. So it really gets tense toward the end as we find out who the person is and why they shot Dan, but it wasn't Dan that was supposed to be killed. So it's very, very twisty-turny, especially at the end, when there's a surprising revelation that will really shock you. And it makes you wonder, okay, is there going to be another book based on this ending? If so, it would really continue the story. But Nowhere to Hide is a book that you should pick up as quickly as possible, because it's a really different sort of murder mystery where we don't know right until the end. And those are the best kind of books, when you have to figure along with the characters who the killer is. So those are the 2 books that I wanted to draw to your attention. They're Crooked Knife and Nowhere to Hide. So hopefully you will agree with my choices. And if you go to the store and pick them up, you let me know whether I'm right, wrong, or out in left field, right field, or somewhere else. So, as always, I thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I enjoy doing them. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. So until we meet again, stay safe, stay sane, stay social distancing, and do stay in touch. See you real soon. Bye for now.